today's topic is the flywheel effect. Lon, I know you know the flywheel effect. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think the history where I got attracted to it when I was reading Good to Great, I kind of ran across the topic. Then when I read the first book on Jeff Bezos, I'm blanking, I think, the Everything Store, he talked about how the topic was so amazing. Jeff Bezos, he actually flew Jim Collins in and did a full day session with his, I think he calls his S team. And they basically decided to use it as a business model for early Amazon. And the idea is to create a flywheel effect for your business where I call them different bases on the flywheel, help you grow your business with less and less effort. So in Jeff Bezos' example, it could be more vendors, bring in better pricing, bring in more clients, which bring in more economies of scale, and bring in different resources, and the wheels start to spin and spin with less effort and grow from there. They then use the same concept when they built their what's it called, their storage business, Carl? I'm blanking.
Amazon Web Services.
Yeah, Amazon Web Service. And they basically built it. And so what I've done in my business is kind of create a flywheel for my business where if I have better products and solutions, it attracts both better clients and more referral partners. And the wheels just start to spin bigger and bigger and faster. And I attract better resources, better clients, better referral partners. And it just kind of hopefully continue to spin faster with less effort. So that's basically the gist of it. I think every business can kind of play around with that concept of adding what would be needed to get that flywheel spinning. And last thing I'll say real quick, Jim Collins did write, he calls it a monograph. He wrote like a 40 or 50 page little book on it, which goes into much more detail. I wish I had it in hand. I'd pull some pieces out of it, but it's a great complement piece to Good to Great.
That's great. And I think today we want to talk about how that might impact each of our businesses and or clients that we've worked with, or how we work with clients, helping them build their flywheel. Yeah. Coach, you have something?
Yeah, I got a couple examples of people that I've been working with over the last couple of years. Both of them are in the trades industry. The first one's the electrician. What we recognize here in the Houston area is that power goes out now and then. And of course, Generacs were kind of the inside scoop on getting generators set up and hooked to your house. And anything I'm coaching toward, we try to look for one-to-manys, which is the way I'm seeing this case in terms of flywheel, is if we can go to one place and be able to get a lot of business from them, that's where we want to go to get the business. So we created a relationship with Generac. And, I've grown the business now. We're doing about $500,000 this year. We started way back when, several years, doing about 120. And half of the number this year came in from Generac deals, which we've now systemized, right? And are leading to, hey, once we're there, we're doing the maintenance on the Generac. Guess what? We show up at the house and we're the ones that they want to have touch their electric issues, whatever goes on. And so it's just growing the business. Second example is with a general contractor situation. We're going in and fixing houses. We've got his wife's a realtor, so we're always kind of paying attention to the real estate side in terms of remodeling and upgrading and that kind of thing. Well, a company comes along called Easy Knock. That Easy Knock buys homes from people that are kind of upside down in whatever way they arrange that, where they buy it and let them rent it back from them or do whatever. But in the process, oftentimes they're resold in a big number right now. A lot of people having trouble with that. So what's happened is that the general contractor that I've got has become the go-to guy for all the remodeling for all Easy Knock. Again, a one-to-many, where we got one relationship, but we're getting, 20 or 30 jobs. And they just announced to me that they're going to break 650,000 this year, which is just phenomenal. Their life is a different life, and it's just so much fun to be a part of that. But it's the one-to-many thing I hear in the flywheel that I'm thinking about, and how I take that concept and try to find the right place for businesses to grow with the least amount of effort and get the most return. And I think that's kind of the concept we're dealing with here. So that's
good example. Yeah, thank you. Good
awesome. Yeah.
Scott, Yeah, or anybody else?
Well, I was going to say, it kind of sounds like, when they invented the wheel for the first time. And it just is something that if you roll it down the largest hill ever that never ends, it won't stop working. So that's great. And, you know, um, starting out, I feel like, the wheel that I had was more like a square. Um, Took a little bit of effort to kind of push that thing over, but what I've noticed with my clients is, and it's, well, first with my company itself, retainers, um, to get the ball rolling, pun intended, this is what we need to do. So but also this may seem odd to a few people, but I've found that my clients don't really enjoy being invoiced and going over, oh, well, how much do I owe you for this week or the next week or the next week? It's like, and this is where, that wheel kind of seems to solve a problem. It's like, well, okay, if we do a retainer, then you just pay me, let's say $100, and I'm going to do $100 worth of work. If it takes me, 5 minutes, here, there, and there, then you'll get the invoice in the end, and then we just continue that next route. But also what I've been doing is helping them on the other end, saying, listen, you guys don't need to be doing this thing, and I need to use that wheel scenario, but I have not yet. But I'm also going to order that book when we get off the phone, or the computer. But yeah, returning the favor to them, saying, you guys can do this to make it easier on you next time, which in turn comes back to me, making it easier on me, and it just keeps it rolling. So I hope that helped.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, I think, the external wheels are really good. That, how do we, bring in a customer? If we bring in more customers, that helps us with our vendors and better relationship with our vendors, then maybe that drives down cost or increases the options, and that helps us drive more customers. And I've definitely, seen that many times. That's fantastic. Also, I've found that, particularly in companies in that, as they're growing towards 100 or 200 people in the organization, the complexity of management has some challenges. And so you get flywheels as you improve your management practices. It makes it easier to manage people, motivate people. You get more people doing work for you in the right direction, and then that gives you more time to discover more opportunities to grow the company. And so you get an internal flywheel as well. And so that's one that, with the management systems that we help people implement, that I definitely see that on a regular basis. And that you can also kind of pull that into some of the financial aspects in terms of financing effectively. So flywheels can absolutely be external, but they can also be internals, my perspective, and love to work with those.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit for our fledgling company. We're a year into it. And, the connection point of so many people that we've interfaced with, and the expertise in their particular field that they bring in, we've utilized a lot of those people now as partners in our business, and helping us to, if you talk about an external wheel, take an area that we weren't versed in and let them run it and show us how to do it. And one of the partners we worked with said, use the 80-20 rule that I'm very familiar with in sales. 80% of business is done by 20% of the people. But he said, apply that to what you're doing. Take the 80% of your business you don't want to do. You don't want to be the webmaster. You don't want to be the IT guy or the social media guru, and find somebody to do that for you. And through the connections, we've done that. But as we start our live launch today and other events we're doing, and you start bringing in people, the hope is that as you do a tremendous job with them, that referral network starts to expand. And as that referral network expands, not only do you gain more clients, but you start to interface with more people with areas of expertise that can help enhance our business without having to go out and source somebody. They're right there, and someone, it's like a two-way referral. They've referred them to us, and we're referring them to others, and it's a win-win for both. And for a very small company, we're very mindful of that, because exponentially it's pushed us forward a whole lot faster than if we tried to tough it through ourselves and figure a lot of these nuances out.
Yeah, that's a great point, Steve. And I
Yeah.
I can support that through this growth club thing I've done 20 times now. Every time it happens, people cross connect in there because they're giving out, what were my best accomplishments in the previous quarter. So they list all that. They get an idea. They might even show a sample of, but they use that as part of the market. So it's marketing, networking marketing at its best. It's like BNI on steroids. You go to one of those meetings, and so I've seen it happen every time. New business has grown within that grows to somebody else that they know that, So as a business coach, in a lot of ways, we're connectors.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the flywheel that we are.
To me, I'm listening and thinking about keeping the flywheel on a basic level. You got to do a good job for your client, and you provide good service at what you do. It starts obviously with that. There are those of us who are fortunate enough to have recurring business. Lon, you have recurring business as insurance comes around monthly, annually, however it is. I'm in the leasing game, so every few years the leases expire. So this again creates a flywheel for one, you have to do a good job, and then secondly, you got to ask for and get those referrals. So not sure if that's entirely on target, but I think the bottom line is got to provide a good service and get them to want to bring you back.
Steve, I agree. I think that depending on whether you're a service provider, you're selling a product, it depends, it changes. What you're saying is absolutely client service and value bring certainly is, it could be let's call it a base. I'm just using that word. I can't remember what they called it, as one of the bases that improves more client attraction, right? One of the reasons I use the word in my 3 words, H7 is curate, is what I constantly do is I'm always on the search for better product solutions for my clients. I get literally dozens of calls a week with different things that are on our platform, and I'm always looking for the best solution so I can constantly upgrade. I'm right now looking at a 401k solution that's best I've ever seen in the market, past 20 years, just ran across this month. And so I'm always trying to curate, improve that base on the thing, attract more clients who will hopefully refer that out. When they save $20,000 a year in fees in their 401k, they tell their friends when they're at the country club. And so in my case, I can curate products and solutions. So I think each business is a little different, how to improve the different bases.
Like that. I like that. Yeah, many ways to do that. Create the flywheel. Yeah, quality of service, network, source of focusing your source of leads, repetitive business. So many, excellent ideas here. Excellent ideas. Any tips that we want to throw out for people that are working on building their business, trying to grow their company right now?
You like the flywheel, you just got to keep rolling and rolling and rolling. It's like when we go with the gym. We go into the gym and it rolls from the top of the gym, and it just keeps rolling all the way down to their clients as their clients come in, and it just keeps rolling and rolling, and they see the results from revenues to health to performance, and it just keeps going, rolling.
I love that. I love
Never
that.
give up. Never, ever give up. Keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling. Yeah. And I think kind of tied into that is measuring. And I know, Coach, you do this, Steve, you do this, is, measuring, how did we do, what worked, knowing what worked, getting that feedback loop in there. That's another kind of flywheel. So we'll do business valuations as part of our service. So we'll say, we're going to make these changes. We're changing the management system. We're going to, look at your financing, but we're going to measure the valuation. What was it at the beginning of the year? What is it each quarter? And, as we make changes, you can see the result. And so you can adapt from it. So that helps you keep driving the flywheel effectively as you go forward. So, that's another great point. If you're at the gym, weigh yourself. Were you trying to lose weight? How much did you lose? Celebrate that.
Yeah, Carl, there's another very simple principle that's been passed down from different mentors that I've worked with. We certainly use it ourselves, and it's the law of increase, which is leaving everybody with more than they gave you. In other words, you leave everybody with this impression of increase, you give them more, and it doesn't matter if it's somebody that, if you look at the hierarchy of a company, they're at the very bottom versus the very top. But an example would be when I was running one of the Fortune 500 divisions that I was president of, I'd walk back in the warehouse every day and sit and chat with the guys, and they were always blown away that one of the suits actually took time to come back and talk to them and know about their day, their family, their kids. But it's that law of increase. It's given them more, because when at my level, I would walk out of the room having done that, these guys would run through a brick wall for me. They're like, man, that guy's got our back. He cares about us. So what we've adopted, Susan and I, in our business, is we use that with everybody we encounter, whether it's a phone call, a strategy session, people that have questions, is we want to give them more and have them walk away thinking, how could I not want to work with those two people? They care so much about me.
It's interesting that this is all coming up. I've had two different conversations today. One with one of my best friends I've ever had in my life. He's starting this business up, and he's going to be making cowboy hats. I don't know. That's just what he wants to do. So he's leaving the corporate world to go do this. It's really neat. And, he's got all this stuff he wants to buy. And then he wanted to do like some withdrawal from a 401k and, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa. Let's slow down. Let's talk about it. Anyway, so we got over all that. But the other side of it is my mother, actually, she has recently just retired, and she's bored and wants to do something. So she gets this side. She was an esthetician, so she went back to work for this lady, and the lady told her that, we're doing about 95 this year, and they live in a very, very, very small city in Illinois. And my mom said to me, what do you think about this? Because next year they want to be doing 1.5 million. And I think, with all that being said, we all have to be reasonable. Like, I love cars, so wheels are cool. All right. But let's be reasonable on what we're going to spend on a wheel, or let's be reasonable on what it's going to look like. And I think a lot of people get this, I can do this next year. We can nail it. Let's look at the statistics on that and kind of, be reasonable with yourself and your clients. And I try to be reasonable with them. So I don't know. Hopefully that helped. But
yeah, I think that's a real good point, Scott. On the one hand, I'm a very optimistic person, and I've seen companies grow extremely quickly. At the same time, there are limits. There's actually a mathematical limit on how fast you can grow a company based on the financials, without taking in external, investors. So we can calculate that, and depending how long it takes you to collect your accounts receivables and what your gross margins are. It's just math. You can calculate that. And so for somebody who says, I'm going to grow at 200% a year, and your financials don't support that, okay, that's not reasonable. On the other hand, if you're collecting the money up front and you don't have accounts receivable, you can grow much, much faster. So let's make sure the math supports your ambitions. So don't, not here to throw cold water on you, but let's make sure you've got a real path to growing that fast and making it work.
Yeah, no, that's awesome advice.
Carl, add some kind of what you were saying earlier about also using a flywheel to create a winning culture at work. I use an example like the Texans. I'm a big Texan guy. I've been watching for years. I'm watching this year, and the coach, the quarterback, the play is raised to a whole new level. The whole team, and what's going to happen is they're going to attract other players throughout the league that want to come play for D'Amico Ryans and the Texans. You wouldn't have said that last year, right? And so I think that using the flywheel to obviously become more profitable. So there's more, more things you could add back, obviously raise salaries, attract more people, but also the culture gets more happier. People say, hey, you want to come work here, right? And I think you can use that kind of mindset to create a winning culture and have your business kind of grow and easier to hit your targets like you kind of identify. So I thought that's an interesting point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, flywheels can be sales, they can be reputation, they can be culture, they can be financial, a lot of different ways to create that flywheel that can grow rapidly. No single path.
Yep.
Single path.
Interesting point also is Charlie Munger says, invert, always invert. The other question is, what could you do to stop the flywheel running at your company? What do you want to avoid that would jam up the works and slow it down? That's something to think about. What if we hire some bad people that are bad eggs, bad apples that are, that may be something that could just gum up the works, for example, or replace our manager or director or something like that, I guess.
There's all kinds of sticks that can get stuck in the flywheel.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Poor quality product service, that can gum it up pretty quick. Yeah.
I think you have to be careful with the products. I mean, I think about your business, Lon, how, you hear from a bunch of people pitching their services and plans and ideas, and you really have to be diligent and smart enough to know that, wait, that's too far out on the limb. You got to keep it within a reasonable range and substance. Well, I guess we all do, but I was thinking about your business.
The first level is they have to get through our broker dealer, their process. Then they come to my level, and then I say, is this something I feel comfortable showing my client and appropriate for my client? Even though sometimes the numbers may work, but it's just not appropriate, or the client it's too complex for the client to understand. That sometimes can be the situation. So you have to know your client very well and know the product. But you're right. There's every product. There's no free lunch. Everything has you have to understand the good, bad, the ugly about every product before you put it in front of a client. I agree 100%.
A good deal is not a good deal for every client.
Right. It's true in real estate for sure. Right, Steve?
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Absolutely.
I read something about Sam Zell, Steve, just this weekend. He said, always leave something on the table in a negotiation. That's what he said. It goes back to what you were saying, Scott. Don't be greedy. Then you have a relationship that go ongoing. So that's how Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger did all their business, right? It was all a handshake deal. I heard they said like a $500 million amount of money without a contract. Said, no, we trust you. We'll just send you $500 million, get to work. I mean, that's the kind of relationships they had. And hopefully we can keep working till we're 100 like Charlie Munger. He just died, unfortunately, last week. Sad. Keep on trucking, right, Coach?
That's big money.
I'm hoping on one of those deals this week. So
there you go.
If I get it, then we can all go, on a private jet somewhere. But anyway, but yeah, I appreciate
So you'll be stopping here in Chicago to pick me up, though, right?
No problem. Not an issue.
What color Lamborghini you eyeing, Scott? Are you black or red guy?
Black, 100%.
What's Warren Buffett's private jet? The Indefensible, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good layout. Absolutely. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Very good.